Shannon, does the punishment fit the crime?
I think it does.
Former Bears player Sam Hurd is out of prison after serving 10 years on federal drug charges.
I didn't do anything in particular. I just was wondering, like I do. You know, when I get in a manic episode, I start to wonder and be aimless and not be able to talk to people or tell them what what's going on.
From being paid to hurt people to drug trafficking while already in the NFL, all the way to disappearing on the biggest stage of them all, the Super Bowl, the NFL has a lot of incidents that are forgotten about or even pushed under the rug because the NFL wants you to focus on the issues on the field. They want you to focus on the action that's on the field. Well, ladies and gentlemen, today at the Gabe Sayers Believer, I am your host, Gabe Sayers, and we're going to be looking at some of these forgotten NFL incidents and issues. Now, thank you guys again so much for 1,000 subscribers, and now it is time to grow and it is time to grind. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the forgotten NFL incidents. Imagine being in the NFL. You know, you are looking to make money, you're looking to succeed on the field, and imagine your coach comes to you with a way to make even more money, but it's not by catching touchdowns. It's not even for scoring touchdowns, but it's for injuring other teams' best players. You know, this might sound like a villain plot in like a horror movie centered around football, but this was real life in 2012. The NFL in 2012 discovered that the Saints were doing exactly that. It became one of the biggest scandals in league history. Now here's how it worked and how it happened. From 2009 to 2011, several Saints defensive players and coaches allegedly ran a secret bounty program. The idea was simple. If you delivered a big hit that knocked somebody out of the game, especially a team's best player, you would be rewarded with money. Reports claim that star opponents like Brett Favre and Kurt Warner were actually targeted during the Saints' 2009 playoff run, that very run that actually ended with the New Orleans Saints winning their first ever Super Bowl. The program was apparently led by defensive coordinator Greg Williams, with players chipping into cash for the bounty pool. Apparently, head coach Sean Payton and GM Mickey Loomis were accused of knowing about it, but truthfully, nobody actually knows if they truly knew about it. I mean, let's be real, the chances are they probably knew about it. Now, but did they do anything to stop it? No. For a league that was already worried about concussions and CTE and player safety, this was huge news that players were deliberately trying to injure another player for a cash bonus, which is completely so illegal and so morally incorrect, especially with what we know now about concussions and CTE. This was just such a gross activity to be doing. Now, in March 2012, the NFL dropped the hammer. Greg Williams was suspended indefinitely. Sean Payton was suspended for an entire season of 2012, and he was the first coach in league history to be suspended that long. Mickey Loomis got an 8-game suspension, and even assistant coach Joe Vitt got sidelined. The Saints lost 2 second-round picks, and for a team that built their momentum on star power, this was absolutely devastating. Do I think it was justified though? Yes, absolutely. I think some punishment had to happen, or other teams would just be bound to repeat the same process. So you have to punish, you have to set the precedent, you have to say, hey, if you're going to do this, you are going to be severely punished. Not lose a 5th-round pick, not 2-game suspension. No, we are going to screw up the future of your team if you do this. You know, the scandal left a dark mark on the Saints' reputation. While some fans argued the NFL overreacted and pointing out that, big hits have always been part of the game and the NFL needed more big hits. I loved when the NFL has big hits. At the end of the day, this was extremely dangerous to so many of the key NFL players. And at the end of the day, star NFL players make the NFL money. So the NFL would never ever fly for deliberately trying to hurt the moneymakers of the NFL. Some people saw it as a necessary step to protect the players, and I actually agree with that. To this day, Bountygate is remembered as one of the most shocking NFL scandals, which, raised some tough questions about how far will teams go to be successful? How far will teams go to win a Super Bowl? And evidently, enough to hurt someone. Now, what do you think? Do you think the punishment is too harsh? I don't think the punishment was too harsh. That's what I was trying to say. I think it was exactly what the NFL needed to do. Make sure you drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me what you think about this whole Bountygate. All right, now picture this. You're playing on the Cowgirls. Everybody hates the Cowgirls. And you're like, oh, I need to make a little bit of extra money. But nobody's offering you to hurt someone for extra money. So you're like, damn, if I can't hurt people on the field to make extra money, how am I going to make extra money? I'm going to become a drug kingpin. Well, that is exactly what happened. You're an NFL wide receiver, you're living the dream, and now behind the scenes, you decide to start becoming a drug kingpin? Now, this sounds like a Hollywood crime drama, but in 2011, that was the real story of Chicago Bears wide receiver Sam Hurd. And this was a scandal that stunned the league. Now, Sam Hurd made the biggest name for himself while on the Dallas Cowboys from 2006 to 2010. And then he moved on to the Chicago Bears. Well, today, we're going to break down how that promising career of Sam Hurd spiraled into one of the most shocking criminal cases in NFL history. Hurd would enter the 2006 NFL Draft with the Dallas Cowboys as an undrafted free agent, and he wasn't a superstar, but he carved himself out a really solid role as a good special team player and a backup receiver. In 2011, he would sign with the Chicago Bears with a fresh start with a $5 million contract. On the field, things looked great, but off the field, he was living that double life, let's say, to say the least. According to federal investigators, Hurd was trying to build a massive drug empire. He reportedly met with an undercover agent in Chicago where he agreed to buy 5 to 10 kilograms of cocaine and 1,000 pounds of marijuana, wait for it, not just once, every single week. Yes, every week. The plan was to distribute it across Chicago. And the problem? This whole meeting was a sting operation. I mean, what an idiot. You are already making millions of dollars and you're going to throw that all away because you want to go be a little drug dealer. I mean, truly, what an idiot. In December of 2011, just hours after dining with his teammates, Hurd was arrested by federal agents. The NFL world was stunned. How could a current player with a steady career, it's not like the guy was making no money, it's not like the guy was a free agent. How could a guy with a steady career with millions on the table be so deeply involved in drug trafficking? In 2013, Hurd would plead guilty to a drug conspiracy charge and was sentenced to 15 years in federal prison. Just ruining, evaporating his NFL career right then and there with the snap of the fingers. Now, Sam Hurd case became a cautionary tale in the NFL. It wasn't about performance-enhancing drugs. It wasn't about hurting people for money. It took a whole nother spin. To be a drug dealer at this level in the NFL and to be moving this much product while still playing in the NFL was unheard of. This was a full-on criminal enterprise. For many fans, it was hard to reconcile the hard-working, likable receivers on Sundays with the man that was accused of trying to flood a city in with drugs. Hurd's story remains one of the most wild and honestly one of the most tragic scandals in NFL history. So again, now I ask the same question. What do you think? Do you think that Sam Hurd was not making enough money? Do you think it was something with his upbringing? Why would Sam Hurd throw away his NFL life, his contract, this money, this fame, to go move drugs around? Now, personally, I would like to say, kids, don't do drugs, don't move drugs, don't go anywhere near drugs. At the Gabe Sayers Believer, we do not touch any drug paraphernalia. How do you even say that? Paraphernalia? Whatever that word is. We don't touch drugs, all right? At the Gabe Sayers Believer, no drugs. Imagine this. It's the night before the biggest night of your life. You're a starting center. You're a Pro Bowl center on a Super Bowl team. You're making money. You're getting fame. This is what it's all about. Playing in the biggest game of them all. And what do? Disappear. This is the story of Barrett Robbins. And instead of suiting up, he just vanished. And this happened in 2003 for the Oakland Raiders star Barrett Robbins when he just disappeared hours before the Super Bowl. And trust me, guys, the story is only going to get stranger from there. So we're breaking down the shocking disappearance of Barrett Robbins. Why did he disappear? How did he disappear? And how did it just unravel the Raiders' chance at what really was a great Super Bowl run? So Barrett Robbins wasn't just any player. He was not only the starting center for the Oakland Raiders, but he was a Pro Bowler and part of their dominant 2002 season. The Raiders had stormed into the Super Bowl behind MVP quarterback Rich Gannon and coach Bill Callahan. But on the eve of the big game against Tampa Bay, Robbins went missing, and the team had no idea where he was. As it turned out, Robbins had traveled to Tijuana, Mexico during the Super Bowl weekend, and reports later revealed that he had been struggling with bipolar disorder, and in the days leading up to the game, he experienced a severe psychosis episode. Now, during this severe psychosis episode, instead of preparing with his teammates, Robbins spent the night across the border, drinking heavily, partying, and by the time the Raiders had tracked him down, it was too late. Robbins was in zero condition to play. The Raiders were forced to take the field without their starting center, and the result was disastrous. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense dominating, intercepting Gannon 5 times on the way to a crazy 48-21 blowout victory. Many players and analysts pointed to Robbins' absence as a major factor in the loss. What should have been the Raiders' crowning moment instead became one of the strangest and most sad stories in NFL history. After the Super Bowl, Robbins' struggles with mental health honestly became more forefront, and they became more mainstream, for better for worse. And it led to arrests, legal troubles, and in the years that followed, his disappearances became a cautionary tale about the pressure of the NFL and the importance of mental health care for athletes. While some fans blame him for derailing the Raiders' chances, others see it as a tragedy of a player who desperately needed help and just couldn't get it at that time, in the most critical time in his life. Now, this obviously did bring more awareness to mental health and bring a lot more awareness about how NFL players needed it. But at this time in 2003, it just wasn't widespread. It wasn't common for players to be seeking mental health services. So, chat, I leave you with this. Barrett Robbins, if he would have started in the Super Bowl, do we think the Raiders would have won? I think personally, no. I think that Bucs team was on a mission personally, but losing your starting center the day before the game absolutely could not have been helpful, and it had to tank the morale of the locker room. They didn't know where Barrett Robbins was. He could have been dead. He could have been hurt. They didn't know what was going on. Ladies with gentle hands, it has been a pleasure. This has been another Gabe Sayers Believer video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, give me all the love you can, because right now I need it. We're on the grind, we're on the hustle. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I think I put a little bit more pizzazz, a little more juice into it. So if you liked this slightly different style video, y'all gotta make sure by letting me know. I think this has a little more punch to it, so hoping to see videos keep doing better. I'm hoping to grow with you guys, because we are a team, we are a family, we are the believers. Ladies with gentle hands, I will see you guys again very, very soon.